Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel and a reaction video. If you guys don't already know, but we're reacting to Mr. Who's the Boss. He has a new video called "The Honor Robot Phone is Absolutely Insane." Let's get into it.
This is the Honor robot phone. And when I first heard of it, I thought, oh, must be a concept device. No, they are actually mass producing and selling this. Then I thought, fine.
Wait, is
What's it
that the
gonna do?
camera?
Stabilize your camera? But then, do we need a motorized gimbal to do that? Also wrong. Honor is seeing this as something a lot bigger than just a one-off gimmick. They've just rebranded their entire company, and they're calling this a new species of smartphone because of how it completely changes how you interact with it.
The thing here is that if you have the camera sticking out like that, everyone's gonna know you're taking a picture or you're on the camera app. Just because I would assume that this pops out like that. And when it pops out, then everyone around you is aware that, you're in camera mode, right? I don't know if that's, pleasing to a lot of people because then you have like that doubt is like, is the guy taking a picture of me? Is the, if people have these assumptions when camera is open, especially in that way.
So, we should probably figure out if it's good or not. And we're off to a very strong start with the retail box because it's giant. It comes with a phone on top,
Don't get me wrong, the camera
and
might be
everything
really
you
good.
need underneath. Charger, cable,
But
and
like
this
that whole
inside
idea
here,
of it,
a type of
opening
case
up like that.
I've never seen before, but we'll get to this.
It's probably an expensive phone as well. It
So, at its very
stabilizes.
base level, here's how the phone works. You slide away the protective cover, you click this button at the bottom of your camera app, and then, with what can only be described as the coldest animation to ever grace a smartphone, the gimbal will emerge,
Oh.
fully calibrated and ready to shoot. And first things first, I couldn't quite believe just how stable it makes it. Like, when we put this Honor side by side with the latest iPhone and really gave him a good swirl around, as you'd expect, the iPhone's footage looks like it was shot during an earthquake, but the Honor's gimbal was managing to correct for both the vertical movement and the horizontal movement so effectively that it almost looks like we were specifically trying to hold the thing steady. That's pretty sick.
But even then, like, it seems as if it's not that stable because for a phone to prioritize its camera, it doesn't seem that
This
stable as
gimbal
well.
was
Because
managing
you
to
can see it stutter, you can see it move around. For a phone that
correct
expensive,
for both
where the camera rotates as you move to make sure it's straight, doesn't seem that stable to me.
the vertical movement and the horizontal movement so effectively that it almost looks like we were specifically trying to hold the thing steady. That's pretty sick, considering this tiny gimbal is powered by the smallest micromotor in the industry, 70% smaller than what you'd find in a typical gimbal. And that the phone has this without seemingly losing anything. It doesn't matter which way you spin it, whether it's the ridiculously bright screen, the top of the line chip, the enormous battery, ultra fast charging, and even the starting storage.
I want to know
This
how many
is
people would
an
actually buy it, aside
industry-leading
from like
spec
those people
sheet.
who
Although
create
worth mentioning
videos,
that
tech
while the
videos about
quality of the
this.
hardware and the stabilization is undisputed, the color science and skin tones that come out of the camera by default do look a little bit off to me.
Exactly, right? It moves for level
Level
2.
2 of this device, though, you can control the gimbal, and I think you'd be surprised by just how much. You can control it with a joystick, so you can drag in any direction and the camera just follows, with a responsiveness slider to tweak how
That's
fast
so
or
weird.
slow that you want the thing to
It's
move as you're
cool, but
doing
it's
this. You
weird
can
because
control
like
it with
you're just standing in one place and the camera just moves like this as you want it to move or like focus on one person. That 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 whole idea, it seems as if it's like video production level stuff because for a normal person, you can just take your phone and then just move it as the object is moving or whatever you're trying to capture. This whole idea of you just standing still and the camera moves itself is good and all, but like I don't see the use of it.
cinematic effects. So let's say I pick this 90 degrees option. The gimbal will do a 90-degree rotational spin shot. Tap the button again, it'll just do the same shot but back the other way. Or you click 180 degrees and the camera immediately flicks up to point at the sky. Then when you start the motion, it slowly rotates all the way around. I guess this would be how you'd capture a starry sky, but with real movement baked in. And then there's this entire suite of different gimbal behavior modes, like tilt lock, which locks the horizon, So when you rotate the phone, the gimbal rotates in the
It just
opposite
seems
direction
like
to
there's a
keep
lot of
your shot
settings that you
looking
have to
pretty
configure to use it.
ridiculously upright. There's FPV mode, which is basically the gimbal staying fixed, looking ahead in front of you. FPV vertical, which is the same thing, but instead locked on what's happening below you, all topped off with super steady mode at the very end, which combines a few of these other modes together to create what I can only describe as silly good stabilization. It's an industry term. With many types of shots, this
I
is
don't see how
actually
it's
more
useful, to
stable
be honest
than,
with you.
I would say, any dedicated smartphone gimbal I've used over the years. I would assume that that's kind of the nature of it being built in. So this gimbal is able to respond a little faster to your movements than, let's say, a separate accessory that has to sync up with Bluetooth or a cable. And then the other perk of it being built in is it doesn't need charging. As long as you've got your phone,
That is true.
you've got your gimbal. And
That is true.
as I'd like to think you know by now, I am very drawn to efficiencies like that.
So to me, this seems as if it's more for content creation because to his point, if you're like a vlogger, you do a lot of like, travel stuff where you want to capture stuff in real time. It's less of a hassle to take all the other components, where, for example, you take your phone, you have to take up a stick to hold the phone and all these different accessories, right? With this, you just have that phone, and then when you open the camera app and want to use it, with a click of a button, you can have it uh do whatever you want it to do, film content like in that way. So I do see its advantages, but like even then, the
All right, so
quality
if level
didn't seem
2 is
there.
that you can control the gimbal, 3 is that it can control itself. Because all you actually got to do is double tap someone or something, and the camera will just start following them. And it
That is
follows them
pretty
with
cool.
the intelligent awareness that if they walk behind something, they're going to reappear on the other side. I wouldn't say it has a 100% success rate with this. It definitely did get tripped up every now and again. But the more I started to use it, the more I started to trust the tracking. I mean, just look how quickly the thing responds when I'm moving this Coke can all over the place. It's just way snappier than I was expecting it to be. Not to mention that it can actually track you, not quite
That is pretty
360
cool.
degrees, but 310. So pretty much
This
all
is
the
the
way
first
from one
integration of the
side of the
product.
rear
I would
view to
assume,
the other side of your
and you
front
would
view
think that the
in
next
one seamless shot.
few
So yes, this gimbal camera
improvements to this
serves as
phone
both
would be
a rear camera
really good.
and a front camera. What I'm happy to see is that it's
Hey,
actually a
chatter.
pretty
So
good
we're
quality
watching
sensor
Mr.
as well.
Who's the
This is a
Boss's channel video. It's called the Honor Robot phone is absolutely insane. This is for a YouTube video, so I will post it after on my YouTube channel, and I'll link the video in that as well.
a 200 megapixel f 1.6 1 over 1.28 inch camera. So it's the kind of camera that you'd expect to see on the rear of most flagship phones these days anyway. Plus, there are other
Quality of the
cameras
video doesn't
too.
seem
There's
that
a
great as
50
well.
megapixel front cam, a 50 megapixel ultra wide, and then a 200 megapixel telephoto camera, all with good size sensors. So we are absolutely kitted out here. But I would guess if you're going to buy a phone like this, you'll largely be using those other cameras more as backups. Because then I tested out a video call on this thing, using the whole front and rear all around camera
Honestly,
capability that you
this
get
seems
with the
like too
gimbal
much.
to
Like,
have this
sure,
incredibly
you
effortless
want a
conversation
camera
where I
that's
was just
good
having a
enough to
mindless
do
stroll
these
around
sort of
while talking, which
things,
is
but like
kind
if
of what I
it's
do
not,
anyway. So the gimbal camera does it all.
quality's
The
not
only thing I
there,
have
then
noticed,
there's no
just
point of
generally
having
with the
it.
tracking, is it does lose you quite easily if you're not looking at it, like it did here. And yeah, this was a WeChat call, because right now at least, the robot phone is only launching in China. I'm just happy to see it launching at all.
Exactly, yeah.
GTA.
Now there is another benefit to your phone camera being able to move on its own accord, one that you probably didn't see coming: panoramas. Because why manually rotate your phone like some sort of gimbal-less pleb when you can tap one button, your phone takes 4 shots by itself and fuses them on the spot? Same thing when the
That is
gimbal's
pretty
facing
cool.
front, so you're getting group selfies with a width that I'm not sure any other phone is capable of.
Now
And
that is
cooler
cool.
still,
Now
a
that is
mega
really cool.
wide photo of sorts, taken by capturing an entire grid of 9 shots and merging them together into something that ends up with an even wider field of view than an ultra-wide camera. And if you're wondering, well, surely at the point where I need to carry around a tripod like this, isn't it just easier for me to move the phone around in my hand and take the shots needed? That's what I was thinking. But that is where the case comes in. It's got a phone stand that magnetizes to the back, and it's not just a simple phone stand. It's like a 2-stage stabilizer, which is pretty handy because it helps to keep the phone completely upright while also grounding it enough that even when the gimbal is flying around, it doesn't move the phone with it. That said, I think there is a massive missed opportunity with these photo stitching features, because the image that you end up getting out of this mega wide
The
photo, for
camera looked,
example,
the
has a
quality of the
24
camera looked
megapixel
pretty
resolution.
good.
Bruh, I just took
Oh.
9 shots with a 200 megapixel camera and fused them, and you're giving me the output in 24 megapixel. I feel like the potential is right on the table here to be able to take smartphone photos with astronomical resolutions. Plus, surely the key benefit of a built-in gimbal like this that shoots the same pre-programmed set of images with the same pre-programmed spacing should be that the phone is completely ready to be able to stitch those images together perfectly. But the stitching isn't actually all that great either. I've seen better on many phones that don't have all this. But one thing is for sure, you're covered in the tools department. Because even on top of the mountains of modes and features I've already shown you, there is also an entirely new cinema camera experience made for this device, and it is vast. It's things like being able to shoot in ungraded log footage so that you can then professionally color grade it yourself, turning your
That is
videos
pretty
from
cool.
this into something more like this.
But
Or
like the
because
quality is
this
still not there. Like
experience
you
is a
can have
collaboration
those
with camera
filters
company
on and
Ari,
stuff,
you can
but if
also
the
with
quality
one
isn't
tap
there, then the
color grade your
filters
footage
won't
with a
look
bunch
that
of
great as well.
Ari camera looks. And remember I said that the default camera colors look a little funky. Well, these looks largely seem to fix that issue. They feel premium. There's false color mode to help you visualize areas that are overexposed. You've got focus peaking so that you have the reassurance that what you're trying to focus on is in fact in focus. And even a mode that uses the golden ratio to help you position your subjects. And when you lock them in, it doesn't matter where the phone moves, the camera makes sure that this framing stays intact.
Not bad.
But now is where the robot gets, I'm not sure I'd say better, but absolutely more creative, because it has its own interactive AI assistant. So you summon it with this palm gesture, hands up, and then turn the hands around. I thought this would get really tiring. It was actually fine, because the detection is so reliable and your technique doesn't need to be perfect. And what we get from this is a rather unique
It is pretty weird. You have
combination
to hold your
of
hand up like this and
part
then turn
control
it.
center, part internet-connected AI chatbot, and part
And you have to
live
make sure
video
that,
feed
you know,
of you
the
or what
camera
you're
lens
looking
on the
at.
front
And all of this
sees it as
together,
well.
they call embodied AI. Why would you want your AI embodied? Well, for one, you can do things like turn around and take a photo. But
That is pretty
yeah,
cool.
I mean, given that it takes long enough to do this that I could have made myself a sandwich, I wouldn't count this as useful. Unless, of course, in the future they also integrate the gimbal's ability to track subjects so that it can completely frame the shot itself. There's a bunch of obviously gimmicky things like, okay, do a flip, or asking it to play a song, and then the gimbal will dance in rhythm to that song with some actually not tragic moves. You can ask it who should pay the bill for a meal, and the camera will sweep the
But,
room,
like,
it'll go through all
I
the
see,
faces,
like,
and it will come up with
the
a reason
point of
why
it, but
one person in particular should cough up. Again, it's a bit of dumb
I don't
fun.
see
One thing here
the
that I did think
benefits of
maybe
it.
this does have potential is the live chat. Do you like what I'm wearing?
That dark blue t-shirt fits you perfectly. It's simple and really stylish.
But yeah, the AI is of course
you.
going to compliment you.
Then
I
I
mean,
remembered
it's
that
not going to say
you
you
don't need
look
a
ugly or
rotating
like what you're
gimbal
wearing
camera for this.
is
And
horrible. I don't
this is
think
also already a
the
Gemini
AI
feature,
is trained
and Gemini
in
does
that
it
way.
better.
Gemini, do you know the make and model of this light?
That's a cool light. It looks like a LifeSmart Colo Light Pro. Is there anything specific you'd like to know about it?
So this whole embodied AI thing, I'm guessing this feature is designed primarily for Asian markets, which have both a higher acceptance of robotics doing things for us, but also I would say a lower aversion to things that are a little bit gimmicky, as long as they're cute. But for me, yeah, this is
That does make
all
sense.
gimmick.
I do
It would
see
have to
like
get a lot more sophisticated
it being more
for it
popular
to
in like the
actually
Asian
take
market.
advantage of this floating gimbal head in a way that's useful. And it might. Honor saying they have every intention for this to be a series of phones, and that they're even open sourcing the gimbal, so any app developer can build custom commands. But I just think until it does, getting my phone to dance or flip or physically nod when it agrees is not how I want to be spending my limited battery life. And it's not the
That
reason
is-
that I'd want to be
yeah.
wearing out the very tiny motors in my phone's primary camera. Now, I did also have a good prod around at the gimbal, and it does seem somewhat resilient. And Honor has reassured me that this has gone through the very rigorous tests required to make it a mass-market device. Plus, it's absolutely impressive that they've still retained IP54 water and dust resistance too. But still, I would be a bit concerned about durability. I mean, if people were worried about simple pop-up selfie cameras back in the day, then this is a whole other
Yeah.
level of moving parts and precise tuning that needs to stay intact for it
That
to
is
work.
true, that
I feel
is
like it
true.
would just take one unfortunate drop. And even if you don't break the gimbal, what if you knock it out of calibration? I can't imagine iFixit's gonna know what to do with it. Not to mention that unlike most dedicated gimbals, this baked-in one can't rotate vertically. So you can take vertical clips, but can you see that the resolution is coming all the way down from 4K to 2.8K to achieve this? And that's
Yeah,
because all it's
yeah.
doing is just cropping into the horizontal clip. So you're losing quality. The camera is capable of being vertical. It was doing it on the video call. So I can only assume that they've stopped you shooting video like this because maybe it doesn't stabilize well in this orientation.
It could be,
Ultimately,
yeah.
though, while I'm not sure that I need extreme stabilization often enough to buy a phone based on it, this is really impressive tech. It is cool to see companies trying new things, and in so many ways they've succeeded here, without even any noticeable compromise to the rest of the phone experience. And so I think this will find a niche user base who loves it, and maybe that'll be enough to get
Plus,
the ball rolling
to
on
my point,
developers
it's
building
first
even
integration,
more
so
and
of course it's
better
not
functionality
going to
for
be
it.
great.
Now,
Because
what
at this
better
point,
way
you're
of
just doing
putting this
trial and
camera to
error.
the test than if I can film the entire sponsor section for Incogni using one continuous stabilized shot taken on the thing. So, there's two reasons
Like,
why I use Incogni. The first
The whole
is
idea and
I'm a very
concept
private
of
person,
this
and they've just come out with this new exposure
phone is
scanner
pretty
feature,
good.
which means that all you do is enter your
But like the
email and
quality
your
is
full
the
name.
only
It scans
downside.
the
I
entire
think that
internet
if
for
in
all
the
the
next
times that you and your
integration of
data
this
appear,
product, if they
and
can
it can just get rid of
improve
most of it for you.
the quality
Incredible.
of the
The second
camera
thing is I don't
and the
like my phone and
durability,
my tech
I
blowing
think
up with
it's actually
notifications and just
it's going to be a really
spam,
popular
scam,
phone for a lot
random
of those
people
like
calling
content
me.
creators that
So
do film a
getting
lot
your
of
data
stuff
off the internet massively
like
reduces
vlogs
that. You can tell the
and
difference.
stuff of
Plus,
them,
with
you
the
know,
code
where
boss,
it
it's
needs a
literally
lot of like the
60% off
camera
an annual
movements,
plan.
right?
So there's not a lot
It
of
is a
reason
pretty
not
good
to try.
product. It's just not
I actually did it.
the product you would buy
How was that?
just yet. I think you want to wait for it to improve.